So I made a video breaking down the big news that Israel Adesanya has left Eugene Behrman. He's left City Kickboxing, potentially leaving New Zealand, and he's going to go overseas maybe to train and test other gyms. And this is crazy. I made a video about it. It's insane news. Izzy's been with CKB his entire career. He's made CKB into a household name in UFC, in the MMA space. He's bought them so much business. And quite frankly, CKB owes a lot of their success as a gym, as a profitable company to Israel Adesanya, to the last stylebender. He is moving away from City Kickboxing, and I think he's moving away from City Kickboxing because he wants specialized, personalized, specific training. And in this video, I'm going to break down Project Save Israel Adesanya's career. So stay tuned and strap in, because this is how Israel Adesanya goes from falling off to climbing back on and recapturing the belt. Israel Adesanya has 2 wins in the UFC light heavyweight division. Not directly, all right? He went up there, he lost to Yan, and he lost to... Well, I think his only fight at 205 has been to Yan. He lost to Yan, but he's got a win over Paulo Costa, and he's got a win over Robert Whittaker. Now, I know that doesn't necessarily translate to actually winning at 205, but it still counts. He's beaten 2 top contenders in the UFC light heavyweight division. Obviously, Paulo Costa ranked number 4. Robert Whittaker soon to be ranked number 9 or 8 after he beats Nikita Krylov. He's going to have 2 great wins, and I think Israel Adesanya, when he moves away from the gym, CKB, he's going to go ahead, he's going to train with maybe Trevor Whitman, we don't know, and he's going to bulk up. He's going to move up to 205 pounds, and I think he's going to rematch one of Robert Whittaker or Paulo Costa, and I'm going to lean towards Paulo Costa. He can win that fight. We saw what he did at 185 to Paulo Costa. He knocked his ass out. This was an undefeated, extremely confident Paulo Costa. He went up there against this guy and beat the fuck out of him and knocked him out and dominated him. Fair enough, he had a bit of gyno. He was probably on some sauce, but he still did what he did. He still did what he did, and it was an extremely impressive win, and it's one of his best aged wins, up there with Alex Pereira. So I think the Paulo Costa rematch, which was in talks for middleweight, should take place at 205 pounds. If he gets that win, all of a sudden he's ranked number 4 in a brand new division. We know there's beef between him and Carlos Ulberg. Izzy's a good guy. He gets a lot of hate. Does he go ahead and fight a former teammate in Carlos Ulberg? From what I'm hearing and from what I'm seeing, the two don't like each other. They don't acknowledge one another. There's rumors that Carlos slept with Israel Adesanya's girlfriend. That's a rumor. I don't know how true or not that is. That's just floating out there. We know they don't like each other. Israel Adesanya versus Carlos Ulberg for the belt. This is one of the few fights in Carlos Ulberg's career, maybe outside of Pereira coming back down and fighting him, that can actually make Carlos Ulberg a big star. Ulberg's got the charisma of a bean, right? The guy has not got anything on the mic. You know, he speaks English like English is his second language, even though it's his first. He's stumbling through sentences. He's not funny. And for a guy who won the belt on one leg against a fan favorite in Yuri Prohaska, he should be a lot more recognized and he should be a lot more loved. But he's not much of a personality and he's not much of a star. If he fights Israel Adesanya with the beef that they've got, former teammates, that story sells itself. You know what I mean? Maybe Izzy gets personal in the leader. Maybe we see a return of shit-talking Adesanya. I think Adesanya is one of those fighters where he's like, even at this point in his career, he's 1 or 2 fights away from a title shot. You already know if he would have beaten Joe Pyfer, he probably would have got the Strickland rematch. You know what I mean? Like, he's one of those guys that is still a massive star. You know, he still does massive numbers. He's 1 or 2 fights away from a title shot. So I think you run Izzy versus Paulo Costa at 205 pounds. Or Izzy versus Rob Whittaker if he doesn't want to step up that far in the rankings. Izzy versus one of those two. All of a sudden he's ranked. Ideally he'd fight one more time. But I can see the UFC just making Israel Adesanya versus Carlos Ulberg if the beef is there. You know what I mean? Or Israel Adesanya versus Khalil Roundtree or Magomed Ankalaev for an interim belt. Like, the story sells itself. The washed former champ going up, trying to prove that he's still got it. It's like, it's a story as old as time. And we're seeing it happen with Kamaru Usman. Kamaru Usman's stepping up there and he's trying to make a middleweight run. which is what leads me to believe that Izzy's going to move up. Because unless Izzy just wants to fight fun fights, he's going to be looking towards the top of the division, right? He's going to be always looking towards the top of the division, even at this point in his career. I know he's come out and said he just wants to put on fun fights to the fans, but you know this guy's sniffing. You know this guy is sniffing top contendership. You know he's trying to go for that belt. Obviously, at middleweight, that's not likely, but I think at light heavyweight, if he bulks up, Izzy's a big enough guy to be at light heavyweight. You see this guy next to John Jones, next to Pereira. He was evenly matched in size almost against Pereira. And if he bulks up enough, he's still got the speed. He's still got the power to make it competitive with these guys. I think he can go up to 205. I think it's a very winnable matchup against Paulo Costa. Khalil Roundtree is also another extremely winnable matchup. Magomed Ankalaev is going to be tricky, but I think Khalil gets past Ankalaev. And I think Adesanya beats Khalil. It's weird how that works, but if you put two strikers together, I'm always going to favor the faster, quicker, more skillful fighter over the power merchant in Khalil Roundtree. Khalil Roundtree is a bit of a speed merchant in that first round, a bit of a power merchant. But once that first round is gone, Adesanya can take over. Leg kicks, range, distance. It's fight IQ. Israel Adesanya has thrown away so many fights because he's just trying to get into a scrap to prove himself. And I think that's the reason why he wants to move away from CKB, to put himself in there with the best minds in the game who can teach him how to think better in the moment. And I think with improved fight IQ Adesanya, he can make it competitive against all of these light heavyweights. And I see the matchup going Paulo Costa and then Khalil Roundtree. I think he faces Paulo Costa. I think he beats Paulo Costa by decision. And then I think he goes out there and he puts Khalil Roundtree away or dominates him by decision. Jab, leg kick, speed, agility, avoiding the power. If he can avoid the power for one round, we already know Khalil gasses very easily. Izzy's obviously always had incredible cardio. He's never really gassed out in a fight, ever. So put him in there against Khalil. If he fights the right fight, he can fight extremely well and he can do wonders against Khalil. That's a very favorable matchup for Adesanya. Some of you might not see it, but with the way Khalil fights, he's extremely fast twitch. He's one of the best first round fighters in UFC history. But once that first round is gone, you've seen Yuri Prohaska absolutely dominate this guy. You've seen what happens once the first round is over. And it's not great. It's not great. Khalil Roundtree is very beatable, and that's a good matchup for Adesanya. So Paulo Costa, Khalil Roundtree, and then a shot at the belt. And does he beat Carlos Ulberg? Right, realistically, Carlos Ulberg is massive. He's huge. His shoulders, his chest, paws, everything is massive about this bloke. He's got those Samoan genetics. He's a big dude. He actually looks a lot less shredded now at the end of his career than he did before, but I think that's actually improved his power. It's not a bodybuilding contest out there. Does he beat Paulo Costa? Yes. Does he beat Khalil Roundtree? Yes. Does he beat Carlos Ulberg? I'm delusional. I'm a fanboy. I'm always going to support Izzy. I'm going to say yes, but realistically, I wouldn't put money on it. Realistically, I wouldn't put money on it, but it's a 205 title shot. And if he gets 2 wins at 205, you know they're going to run that fight. You know he's going to get championship level pay. You know he can make it competitive. The story sells itself. You already know there's going to be a bit of shit talk. There's going to be a bit of beef. And then at the end, they're going to shake hands and maybe things will be better and they'll bury the hatchet like he did against Duplessis and Strickland sort of. So we'll see, man. But this is Project Save Israel Adesanya's career. 185, no more, move up to 205. And look, even if he's not trying to go for the belt, right, he can have fun fights at 205. And there's less of a weight cut. We see guys like Robert Whittaker saying the move to the 205 has like rejuvenated and revitalized his love for the sport. And I think Izzy needs to do that too. We've seen the weight cut. We've seen the images coming out, the videos of him crying in the bathtub. It's a tough weight cut for him. Move up to 205. He's already put on a lot of muscle over the span of his career in order to be able to defend the takedowns. So 205 is a logical move. The weight cut only gets harder as you age. Izzy, move up to 205. Beat the guys that you've already beaten in very winnable matchups and look forward from there, man, because it's a very bright career he can have if he goes with the right guys and if he kind of adapts his style a little bit and doesn't get into these scraps. He can still mix it up with the best of the best. Israel Adesanya's career can and will be saved. I think it's an impressive move. I think it's a brave move to step away from everything you've ever known and try something new at this point in your career. It's only commendable. So I'll see you boys later. Like and subscribe. Thanks for checking out the video. Much love.